and what they recently did toward both Zegler and the Disney company for their Snow White film. It turns out that both Trey Parker and Matt Stone are already preparing for the DEI special.
As soon as news broke that Rachel Zegler had filed a major defamation lawsuit against Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators behind the long-running animated series South Park, the entertainment world took notice. This wasn't your typical celebrity feud. It was shaping up to be a high-profile legal battle. On one side stood Zegler, a rising actress navigating the fallout from a rocky press cycle surrounding her recent Snow White project.
Major development going on now involves more to do with Rachel Zegler and her attitude towards South Park Studios and Paramount after learning about what they are planning for their upcoming special called the DEI special.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway, and that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse?
No, make it more lame. That is exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
From the moment word spread through Hollywood that Rachel Zegler had filed a 9-figure defamation lawsuit against South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, it was clear. This wasn't just celebrity drama. It was a cultural flashpoint. On one side stood Zegler, a rising star still navigating the media whirlwind that followed her Snow White reboot. On the other, two comedy veterans known for turning pop culture into biting satire, unfiltered and unapologetic. What began as just another South Park episode quickly escalated into a full-blown legal saga. The episode in question featured a parody character loosely inspired by Zegler, portrayed as a modern fairy tale figure with a smartphone and strong opinions, lampooning everything from Hollywood trends to the reboot craze. It culminated in a musical number criticizing high-budget remakes and the entertainment industry's obsession with nostalgia. Online, fans reacted instantly. Social media buzz, memes multiplied, but in Los Angeles, the real Zegler wasn't exactly laughing. Initially, insiders speculated she'd brush it off. She understands satire, some said. It's South Park, not personal. But soon after, the narrative shifted. Reports emerged that Zegler had filed a lawsuit seeking $100 million in damages. What many assumed was a PR hiccup suddenly became a serious legal challenge. Her legal team argued that the episode went beyond satire and crossed into reputational harm, claiming it painted her in an unfair and damaging light. Court filings alleged that the parody implied she was responsible for the challenges surrounding her recent film and exaggerated her public persona in a way that impacted her career. According to sources, opportunities began drying up in the wake of the episode's airing, with studios allegedly hesitating to move forward on projects. To Zegler's team, this wasn't comedy. It was a mischaracterization with consequences. This wasn't satire, one source close to her stated. It felt personal. The suit framed the episode as part of a broader issue. Where should the line be drawn between commentary and defamation in today's hyperviral media world? At South Park headquarters, the mood was a mix of surprise and strategy. Parker and Stone, no strangers to controversy, had weathered public outcry before, from political jabs to celebrity send-ups, but a lawsuit of this scale from a high-profile actor. This was different. Their legal team advised caution. No public jokes, no quick rebuttals. Internally, the creative wheels reportedly kept turning, but any satirical response was kept firmly behind closed doors. Meanwhile, attention turned back to Zegler. Those close to her described her as focused, if overwhelmed. For her, this wasn't just a legal fight. It was a moment to assert boundaries. If I don't speak up now, she reportedly told friends, I risk being defined by someone else's script. The public response was split. Critics questioned the lawsuit's necessity, pointing out that many public figures have been lampooned without taking legal action. But supporters argued that not every public figure has the same level of protection or clout, and that accountability in comedy is worth discussing, especially when careers and reputations are at stake. The internet took side. Team Rachel praised her boldness, while #satire is not slander trended in defense of South Park's creative freedom. Late-night shows seized the moment. News outlets hosted debates asking, can parody go too far? And if so, who decides? After weeks of silence, Parker and Stone released a concise statement. We believe strongly in the right to parody public figures and public events. We look forward to a vigorous defense of that right. No joke, just resolve. But sources say they're prepared, if legally cleared, to turn the entire situation into one of their sharpest episodes yet. Legal analysts suggest the case could set a modern precedent. Parody is protected speech, but in a world where content goes viral instantly and reputations can shift with a single trend, the legal definitions may need a refresh. If the court rules in Zegler's favor, it could reshape how satire functions in mainstream media, and put Parker and Stone's billion-dollar streaming deal under new scrutiny. As the case unfolds, the stakes keep rising. For Zegler, it's about owning her narrative. For Parker and Stone, it's about safeguarding the spirit of satire. And for everyone watching, it's the most intense episode of South Park that hasn't aired yet.
Snow White is the first American feature-length animated movie, 1937. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time.
In the South Park episode that set the internet ablaze, a cartoon version of Rachel Zegler strutted through a fantasy realm and launched into a show-stopping musical number. The storyline poked fun at celebrity culture and big-budget reboots, with exaggerated jabs at creative decisions and Hollywood economics. It was classic South Park, wild, ridiculous, and unapologetically satirical. Many fans saw it for what it was, comedy pushing boundaries. But Zegler's legal team saw something else entirely. Her lawyers moved quickly, arguing that not everyone got the joke. They pointed to social media confusion, screenshots of users who appeared to take the parody at face value. According to the legal filing, the episode didn't just satirize, it distorted public perception. And that, they claimed, came with real-world consequences. But Parker and Stone weren't backing down. Their legal defense leaned hard into the comedic absurdity of the episode, presenting memes, clips, and viral posts as evidence that the tone was so exaggerated no reasonable viewer would mistake it for fact. This was satire, their legal team argued. The point was the absurdity. Then came whispers from another corner of the industry. Disney. While not officially involved in the lawsuit, speculation swirled that the studio was monitoring the situation closely. Insiders suggested there was quiet concern over what could surface during discovery, behind-the-scenes notes, internal communications, and production details from the Snow White set. If the case moved forward, the ripple effects could get very real. The trial date was officially set for early next year, just in time to intersect with red carpet season. If Zegler landed new roles during the lead-up, the media cycle would reignite. Meanwhile, South Park would be deep in its next season, potentially laying the groundwork for a creative response once the legal fog lifted. Entertainment attorneys began murmuring about a possible behind-the-scenes settlement, but Parker and Stone reportedly weren't interested. According to one source, Trey was overheard saying, "If we fold now, we lose the joke before we even write it." That sentiment sparked a broader debate. Free speech advocates, including the ACLU, stepped in with an amicus brief supporting the creator. Their message was clear: satire has long served as a public check on power, and that right needs defending. If comedians are forced to pre-clear their punchlines, what happens to satire's teeth? Zegler's team countered with a new strategy. This wasn't about muzzling comedy, they said, it was about responsibility. When public figures are reduced to caricatures and broadcast to millions, the impact can be profound. According to her side, this was about drawing a line, not silencing voices. Eventually, Zegler broke her silence during a quiet, thoughtful late-night interview. She expressed respect for satire, but also voiced concern about the emotional and professional toll the episode had taken. Her message resonated with many viewers. Some called her brave for speaking out. Others felt she was overreacting. Online, the debate exploded. Hashtags like #TeamRachel and #TeamSouthPark lit up timelines. Meme wars and commentary threads dissected every angle. Some fans claimed South Park had gone easier on her than on past targets, from politicians to royals. Others dug into the broader consequences of public ridicule in the digital age. When the pre-trial hearing finally arrived, it felt more like a media event than a court proceeding. Reporters flooded the room. Cameras lined the step. Parker and Stone arrived in sleek, understated suits, with subtle touches of their trademark irreverence, quirky ties, novelty cufflinks. Zegler arrived separately, accompanied by her legal team, dressed with quiet resolve. In court, the focus narrowed to one scene in particular, a moment where the animated version of Zegler was showered with exaggerated studio money as she delivered an over-the-top line about modernization. Her lawyers argued this sequence shaped a damaging public narrative. The defense countered that the scene was plainly satirical, with no basis in reality, and never intended to be taken literally. "This is South Park," their attorney said, "a show with talking towels and surreal plot. It's clearly a parody." Their case hinged on the long-standing legal protection of satire as exaggerated commentary, not literal assertion. The judge didn't dismiss the case. Instead, they ruled it would go to a jury. Let the public decide whether the line between parody and perceived fact had been crossed. Neither side left with a clear win. Outside the courthouse, the media storm resumed. Parker and Stone offered a measured statement. "We're confident in our case." Zegler echoed her earlier sentiment to reporters. "This is about accountability and clarity, not revenge." As the trial approaches, the stakes remain sky high. For Zegler, it's about reclaiming agency in the public eye. For Parker and Stone, it's about protecting a creative legacy built on pushing limits. And for the rest of us, it's a front row seat to a cultural clash between the old rules of comedy and a new era of digital consequences. The next episode, literal or legal, is still unwritten.
Even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed, because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie.
Then came the whisper. Allegedly, Parker and Stone had gotten wind of internal chatter from Disney, rumored emails in which studio insiders supposedly admitted the South Park episode was harsh, but also uncomfortably on the nose. Whether those emails existed or not, no one could say for sure, but in the court of public opinion, that didn't matter. The speculation alone was enough to light Reddit threads on fire, spawn podcast theories, and inspire YouTube deep dives with thumbnails that screamed exposed. Even the idea that those emails might surface was enough to give corporate lawyers heartburn, because while the courtroom was still weeks away, the internet had already rendered its own verdict. Something was going down. As the legal proceedings simmered, Trey and Matt did what they do best, vanished into their writer's room, and turned chaos into content. Rumors flew about their brainstorming sessions, cartoon characters filing a class action lawsuit for unpaid royalties, a town that banned jokes longer than 6 seconds, even lawyers reimagined as Pokemon-style trading card. But this time, there was a twist. How do you satirize a lawsuit you're currently tangled up in? Eventually, they landed on an episode so spicy that censors raised every possible flag. After a scramble of last-minute edits and redacted gags, the version that aired was bizarre even by South Park standards, a surreal courtroom run by overly literal robots, enchanted puppets accidentally leaking secrets, and a storyline that screamed, "We're talking about the lawsuit but not really." Names were never said. Nothing was technically referenced, but fans, oh, they knew. Twitter, sorry, X, exploded. Was it shade? Was it subtext? Was it skating the line of a gag order? Nobody could say for sure, but the internet loved it. Meanwhile, Rachel had shifted gears. Far from the Hollywood noise, she dove into an indie project, low budget, high grit, filmed miles away from the noise machine. According to her team, she felt grounded on set. No franchise politics, no social media storm, just raw acting, stripped of spectacle. She didn't speak about the lawsuit, didn't feed the drama, but when the film's trailer dropped and press junkets kicked off, the inevitable happened. The South Park question came up. She didn't flinch. With calm poise, she acknowledged the controversy, then pivoted. She wasn't here to relive an animated takedown. She was focused on the work, her future, her craft. She wanted headlines about her performance, not the parody. But Hollywood, still holding its breath. As the trial date crept closer, chaos brewed. Protesters prepped signs. Fans planned courthouse campouts like it was the era's tour meets Law and Order. Streaming platforms jostled for recap right. Media outlets sharpened their soundbite. And legal analysts, they were calling this the case that could redefine the boundaries of satire in an age ruled by memes, influencers, and viral backlash. Opening statements hit like fireworks. Rachel's team painted her as a breakout star who became an unwilling punchline. What began as satire, they argued, devolved into mass mischaracterization. This wasn't comedy, it was reputational damage, wrapped in a cartoon, and broadcast to millions. The defense did not back down. They came out swinging with a passionate defense of American satire. From 19th century political cartoons to late-night monologues, they argued, parody is a pillar of free expression. Parker and Stone weren't manufacturing rumors. They were holding up a warped mirror to celebrity culture. One lawyer even delivered a mic drop line that instantly trended. Do we really want to live in a world where every cartoon comes with a warning label, no parody intended? Witnesses lined up, media analysts, PR strategists, experts on entertainment law and cultural impact. A psychologist who specialized in celebrity burnout took the stand. Even an economist was brought in to estimate Rachel's alleged financial fallout, endorsement losses, auditions that vanished, brand deals that suddenly went cold. Then Parker and Stone took the mic. They didn't deny anything. They walked the jury through their creative process. How they chased the most absurd angles in the news. How satire has to exaggerate to land. Yes, they admitted, controversy boosts rating, but malice, that wasn't the point. This wasn't about taking someone down. It was about making people laugh. That's business. That's comedy. Then it was Rachel's turn. She was composed, steady, not rehearsed, just raw. She described waking up to an internet tsunami. Clips of the episode stitched with captions calling her ungrateful, difficult, a diva. She spoke about spiraling anxiety, the sting of silent phones, and the looming fear of becoming that actress, the one no one in the industry wants to risk. Her voice didn't break, but her words hit like gut punches. And then, deliberation. The courtroom was electric. You could feel the tension. Jurors looked conflicted, clearly moved by Rachel's story, but wary of setting a legal precedent that might put all satire in jeopardy. For 3 days, the entertainment world held its breath. Then, not guilty, Parker and Stone walked, cleared of all liability. The jury foreperson put it plainly. They believed Rachel's experience was real, but the episode was just too unhinged, too wild, too clearly a parody for any reasonable person to mistake it for truth.